Good evening. Good evening, everyone. Let the 911 board call to order. Please stand for invocation. Oh, gracious Father, thank you for another day, oh Lord. Lord, we thank you for being able to meet again in this meeting room, oh Lord. We ask you to lead and guide us. Give us the wisdom and the knowledge, oh Father God, of this parish. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen. Follow me in the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Any call for additions and deletions to the E911? There'll be none. Any guest and public comments? E911? Being none. New business. Approved March 18th, 2024 minutes.
So move.
I got a motion by Mr. Baker. Second by Mr. Parker. Any discussion? There's no discussion. Would you please vote? Motion passes. Item 2, authorize payment of approved bills and accept the financial statement as of March 31st, 2024, year-to-date budget to actual report prepared by D's around the CPA. So we have a motion. Got a motion by Mr. Ernell Jones.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Trina Simpson. There's any discussion on this item? There's no discussion. Please vote. Motion passes. A motion to adjourn. Got a motion by Mr. Simpson. Second by Mr. Jones to adjourn the 911 meeting. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
We adjourn the 911 meeting. Thank you, Ms. James.
Thank y'all.
Have a great evening. It's gonna roll over.
So she said,
Yeah. Yes, it is. Hey, Mr. Ford. We're just gonna roll over into our regular meeting, ladies and gentlemen. We're just gonna present these awards. Mr. Frederick Woodley, would you please come up? 20 years. Thank you, Mr. Woodley, for your service. 20 years for your outstanding performance. Thank you, sir.
Speech,
Congratulations.
speech.
You got the floor.
What I learned in my 20 years being here, it's hard to try to sit aside 13 people, 11 Germans, one administrator. what I did, I just try to, you can't treat everybody the same, you just try to treat everybody right.
All right.
We have one more, 25 years of service for Mr. Isaac Field Jr.
Oh, all right.
I ain't think you was but 25.
There you go, thank you, man. Thank you. Okay, we have any announcements? No. Any call for additions and deletions to the agenda? Guess not. Any guests and public comments? I have one. Is Mr. John Sullivan here?
Thank you, Mr. President, on that.
Yes, sir.
Having been married 26 years, I know exactly how long these two gentlemen feel like they've been at work. I can say that because my wife's not present.
We on YouTube, though, you know that.
On Zoom.
I'm updating the Upland Road landfill project.
Yes, sir.
And I'm going to keep it very, very brief. I apologize. There was certainly a mix-up on not being here last month, but it was certainly not intentional. And of course, as always, I'm glad to come back. Upland, the big sort of news on this, they had been looking for a couple of locations. As you imagine, having 60-plus acres and the ability to expand, there's not tons of those sites. Initially, we had looked at the property immediately across from the Mundy landfill. There were a couple of issues there. One, the increased traffic that would certainly be on that was an issue. Also, it lacked any type of infrastructure, which would be additional costs and delays. And because there had been some constructed wetlands on the property, DEQ felt like there may be a permitting issue. So the old Clico building is where they started looking at, because it's, to be quite fair, it's almost ideal. There's already an infrastructure in place. There may be some previous environmental issues, but there are funds available for cleanup on that. However, there had been a change in the management that caused a little bit of delay there. So, but the Clico spot right off the interstate is probably ideal. It wouldn't increase traffic, wouldn't cause congestion coming in and off the interstate, coming into Mansfield. Upland has also met with DEQ and EPA with regarding potential permitting. Obviously, transfer stations, the air and water permitting. Right now, we're unclear if we're going to have a water permit, only because almost all the water is going to be either recycled or retained on site. So it's not one that is going to require a ton of permits. R2 Rentals, that's the company that's out of Monroe that's in the garbage business. They have been actively looking to put together that 2,500 tons per day. We call it a waste shed, the amount of garbage that's available. If you remember, and some of you I recognize as being new to this process, we have to have a certain amount of tonnage per day because part of that, particularly the organics, is going to go back to the existing landfill to continue on with that gasification project. But the plastics, paper, corrugated, cardboard, metals, all of that is something that'll be used. And so one of the obstacles clearly was we were counting on a great deal of insight and expertise from the former superintendent, but my understanding is new superintendent will be just as fine and knowledgeable. The other thing, because we're expanding to capture that waste shed, trying to make all of those gate fees to be competitive so that we can get and maximize that amount of garbage coming into the project. As some of you know, in addition to working with the, you know, I can almost count on Richard interrupting me every time I speak. We've also been working with other community partners, particularly your grants division, on a series of brownfields grants, as well as some other opportunities. So again, my apologies, and I know it's a lot in one setting, but all of you have my contact information. If not, Mr. Norton does, and I'm glad to answer questions or come back at any time. So,
Thank you for the update.
thank you, thank you.
I had one question, please.
Of course.
Funds available for environmental cleanup.
I'm sorry?
You said you had funds available for
There are
environmental
funds
cleanup,
available.
and that's from,
There's a couple of sources there. Because of the nature of it, there's some Department of Energy monies that could be available to clean up. Sometimes energy facilities will have some contaminated soil. I mean, it's not anything extravagant, it's not anything particularly difficult, but anything we can do to offset some of those costs, either through state or federal funds, naturally, if it's available, we're going to go after that.
okay, thank you.
Yeah,
I have one question.
yeah, of course,
You said you were looking at property at the Clico site?
yes.
Would that interfere with the Desiree project and their area that they're looking at?
No, and thank you for that, not at all. What we're thinking about, initially, we had talked about coming in and sort of, almost overnight, having this mega facility. Probably the thing that makes the most sense is to do it in a series of phases so that we start off fairly, I wouldn't say fairly small. It's still gonna be 2,500 tons a day that we're processing, but that doesn't require the same amount of space as once we get certain ways to convert that waste either into something reusable or back to its original form, so it can be either a energy source or raw materials for another product. However, we'll obviously work with whoever to make sure it doesn't, because to be quite fair, there's plenty of space right there. I mean, there's plenty of space for multiple projects.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else? Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Okay, I think we had another guest who was passing through DeSoto Parish, Miss Laura Seawall. Yes, she's here. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you? So I'm Laura Seabaugh, and I work for Attorney General Liz Merle. She's just starting her new administration, and I want to make sure that you know that I'm here and available to each and every one of you, including you citizens of DeSoto Parish. My number is 225-328-0347. I will tell you I'm not an attorney, but I know how to get answers. And we have a very large department with about 500 employees, so sometimes it's hard to navigate or know who to call, and that's where I step in. And I also have presentations and other things that I do for Council on Aging. I work with senior centers and churches and schools, so I'll come back as those programs for Liz Merle start to roll out and let you know. And as soon as I get my business cards, I'll actually give you one of those as well. Thank you.
What you said the number was?
Oh, 225-328-0347. Thank you, Laura Seabaugh. Thank you.
Thank you. President report, none. Council report.
Just briefly, I had asked for a little time last meeting to look into your landfill contracts and make sure there were no conflicts with the proposed proposal to close during all parish-approved holidays, and there were none in the contract. So if that's a policy choice the police jury wants to make, it wouldn't impact your contracts.
Thank you. Administrative report.
Thank you, Mr. President. Item 1, department head reports. If the jury recalls, in your binders, there's a copy of a report from each of my department heads. Those reports include the various departments, what they're working on, the status of what they're working on, and any new information on a project within the various departments for the prior month. This means the department head reports you currently have in your binder are for the month of March of 2024. There is a new report which is included within the engineering department titled Grant Writers Report. It should answer some questions you may have regarding ongoing grants for DeSoto Parish. Item 2, the new material storage facility at the road barn. The material storage barn is paid for by a grant from the state at the road department, has been quoted and awarded. Material is scheduled to be delivered on or around May the 1st. Concrete foundations should start being placed sometime late April. Item 3, the surplus auction. The police jury surplus auction has been scheduled for June 1st, 2024 at the Road Barn. That is a Saturday. At this time, we have DeSoto EMS, various DeSoto Fire Boards, and the DeSoto Parish School Board who have indicated that they will participate in the auction with us. Item 4, email upgrades for the employees and jurors who have a jury-issued cell phone. You may have experienced an interruption of service with regard to your email and/or contacts. If so, please schedule a time with Donald Jackson, our IT specialist, who will complete the upgrade on your phone. Those of you who don't have a jury-issued phone but receive jury email on your personal phones, also please get with Mr. Jackson to make sure it is not an issue we need to address. Item 5, the animal shelter grant and funding. You will see in the financial reports that's reported tonight, the animal shelter has booked an in-kind donation valued at more than $110,000. These are medications that will be utilized by the animal shelter over the next couple years and will help to offset medical expenses. As well, the April 6th shelter slumber party that was put on at our animal shelter by our Director of Animal Services netted more than $12,000 in donations. Item 6, Cell 10 update. We had a bid opening for the Cell 10 construction on April the 11th last week. We had 5 contractors bidding on the project, which is good, which is really good to have 5 contractors. The low bid was $4.6 million, and the high bid was $5.7 million. It is a recommendation of management and the engineering group that the low bid be awarded. The jury should have that information in your binders. The gas system at the landfill. The renewable natural gas facility being installed by Biomethane Partners is currently under construction at the landfill. During this phase of the project, however, they are installing the pipes throughout the facility that will connect all the drilled wells to their gas collection systems. At this time, I have no timeline on the completion of this phase because of the weather issues that we've been having. Item 8, the emergency declaration. As y'all all know, due to the large amount of rain the parish received last week, and after speaking with President Ross, Sheriff Richardson, and other first responders, an emergency declaration was issued by the police jury on Friday, April 12th. As some of you may be aware, when the parish issues the emergency declaration, the Governor's Office of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness is free to provide additional funding and support to this area. At this time, with the last report I have received, Sabine River had crested sometime yesterday due to all of the Toledo Bend gates being open, so it's started to draw down at this time. We've closed all necessary parish roads and provided support services in the form of the sandbags at the Road Barn, the Logansport Fire Department, and Stonewall Fire Department as needed. As well, our road crews have been busy clearing roads of debris. If you as the jurors are aware of any roads that we need to address, please contact myself, Mr. Woodley, or Philip Clark, and we will get that scheduled for cleanup. Item 9, the bid openings and purchased vehicles. We had a bid opening for the veterinarian medical supplies last week on April 12th. No one submitted bids, so this will have to go back out to bid. We will have the annual materials bid on Friday, May 3rd at 2 p.m. The new Kubota tractor with the side cutter and the 2 new roll-off trucks are scheduled to be delivered later in July. Those were approved in the budget. And a couple other items that I added here afterwards. Just wanted to remind everyone, April 27th is Election Day, and we do have that property tax renewal on the books, as well as early voting is open this week. So encourage your constituents to get out and vote. And lastly, I want to recognize an employee. This employee does not know I'm doing this, but Barbie Higginbotham, our Animal Services Director, has gone above and beyond, in my opinion, in trying to complete the services at the animal shelter and raising an enormous amount of money for a shelter that's funded out of our general fund. So I just want to recognize her for a job well done. So thank y'all, and that's my report.
Yes. Thank you again, Ms. Barber.
Yes, ma'am.
On the engineering department report with the KCS project, I noticed it's saying that you're gonna be polling the neighbors to see the percentage of potential customers. And then it has the statement, if built. What, can you tell me what that means?
Yeah, I would have to defer to our, the engineer on that, but
The KCS project, we met with some surveyors last week, trying to progress the job, seeing with the, with the surveyors, we're getting the survey work done to see what the possibilities of routing the lines, and we'll see what's the most effective. It's a gravity flow system, so the topography of the ground makes quite a bit of difference. So we're in the very early preliminary design phases, but one of my biggest concerns with that project is the residents being able to tie into it once we construct the line. We'll be constructing a line along the street, along the right-of-way, and then the residents will be responsible for tying into it. So that's one of my biggest concerns with this project at this time, is they may not have the funds to tie into that line once we have it constructed. So that's one hurdle I think we have to try to mitigate, and that's why I'm talking about polling the citizens to see who might be willing to tie into the line once we have it in place, and seeing where we go with the project after receiving that information. But that's one of my concerns, and one of the things I just want to make sure we look at before we get too far in the process and have to have a line that's not being utilized. But
Okay, I just want to make sure, because you a newcomer,
Yeah. Yeah.
But when this project came up, it came up for a good reason.
Yes, ma'am.
For a matter of fact, the health inspector talked to me concerning this project. You are aware that the sewer over there right now is going into the ravine, right?
Yeah. But no, it's not something we want to do away with or cancel the project, but that's just a concern we have.
Oh, okay,
You know,
because I'm just seeing if built. Plus, I gave all my money
Right.
to this project, every dime. So I don't want to hear if built.
We want to see if there's any grant money that might be available to help the private citizens. 'Cause I think there might be some issues with spending tax dollars on private property and so forth. There might be some grants that are out there that can help with that. Haven't found any yet, but that's something we'd like to look into.
Cause the health inspector that's what made me want to do this project, cause the health inspector made it clear.
Right.
It's either gonna be this way, or they coming in, and it's gonna be another way. So,
But as the engineering currently sits, as far as pushing the project forward, we're still trying to see what the best way to tie into Mansfield's current system. Looking at a few different routes. One of them involves using mechanical lift stations, and the other option, we may be able to do the entire system gravity flow, where you're gonna hopefully be smaller maintenance issues out there without the mechanical lift pumps and so forth. So that's two options we're looking at right now.
okay, I just don't wanna make sure it don't get killed, cause you saying they are not able to hook on, but according to the health inspector, they stand a chance of losing their property if something is not done. And it's our responsibility to make sure it is.
Yes, ma'am. That's what we're looking at right now, just trying to make sure we cross all the Ts, so this will be a successful project when we complete it.
Okay.
Thank you, Michael.
I have a question, Mr. Ryson. I apologize. On the drainage for division, because with all the rain that we have, I know where you're talking about right there. It floods, and I know it says to be, determined. Do you know approximately? Or you just still looking at it, trying to?
That's a project that has a lot of utility. Yeah, you can look
It
at that
does
ditch
have
and
a
there has
lot of wiring and, yeah,
It
new
has some-
line, it's a bad spot, but it floods heavily.
So that's kind of where that one landed. We just need to work with utility companies, get some of them to relocate possibly, and then see if we can, correct the ditch issues out there.
Yeah, I think if we can probably dig, that's gonna be the problem, because there's quite a few lines out there. And that's all I want. And then my comment was to Mr.
Norton?
To Mr. Norton. Thank you and the department heads for this, because I'm sitting here reading this. This is very informative, and it keeps us abreast to what's going on, because now we know as far as what's going on with each department, and I like this write-up. This is good.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you again, Michael. And go ahead.
I have one question on that. Michael mentioned something about lift pumps and try to get away without lift pumps, so we'd do away with possible maintenance expenses in the future, I guess you were talking about, right?
Right.
I was under the impression that this was not going to be our system.
You're correct. It'll be turned over to Mansfield in the future.
I was fixing to say it
But
shouldn't
whoever
be
the
an
end
expense
result
to
is,
us
try
in the
make it
future.
as little maintenance as possible.
Okay, I just want to make sure of that.
No, but it's our responsibility, it's the parish responsibility, cause that's not in the city limit. I'm thankful to the city that they even taking it in. That's in the parish, it belongs to us.
No, ma'am, it belongs to private property owners.
No.
We're doing it
Yeah, I
because
mean,
out of the
that's
goodness of our hearts, but no, ma'am, it does not belong to us as far as.
Okay, well, we can either do it this way. We can either let the state come in here and tell y'all we got to do it, cause that's what they told me was gonna happen.
Okay.
First off, we've agreed to do it. We're doing it. I'm not arguing with that matter. But the fact that it's our responsibility is not true, so.
Yes, it is.
Mr. Norton?
No, I was just gonna add that the CAA that we passed it is in the parish, but it's a responsibility of the town of Mansfield, or the city of Mansfield. They've agreed to take the system in once we get it built, so.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Lobby's report, Mr. Chance?
All this stuff over to the city. No.
How you doing?
Good. Good evening, members of the jury. Chance McNeely. I'll be brief today. I just have a couple things I want to update y'all on. As you all know, the session is well underway. Just quickly, Mr. Jones, the Police Jury Association does have an event. It's actually April 30th and May 1st, and they're having like a day at the Capitol and all that. So I assume Mr. Norton has received that information, but I was asked about it earlier, so just wanted to put that on your radar. I think they'll have jurors coming to the Capitol if there's any interest from you all. So I know the last time I was here, I talked the time before the last time I was here, I talked a good bit about the likelihood of the session wrapping up early to start a constitutional convention. That seems less likely to occur now than it did then. A lot of legislators didn't really seem that interested in cutting the session early. There's a lot of bills out there trying to get through. Still seems very likely that a constitutional convention will occur at some point in the future, near future. But as far as that happening, I think last time I said May 15th. I don't think that will happen based on kind of the tempo of the session. And so another thing I talked to y'all about was that, every year or in recent years, the Representative Bagley and some others have filed constitutional amendments that deal with the severance tax allocation, that cap that prohibits y'all from getting your full 20% or anywhere close to it. And, everybody had said, well, let's wait and work on that in the Constitutional Convention, right? And so as things kind of became less clear on how that would work, I worked with Senator Presley and drafted a bill on that subject that he filed. And so I want to tell you all about that. It's Senate Bill 417 by Thomas Presley. And what that does is, y'all are probably aware that there's a such thing as a parish transportation fund. About a penny and a half of the gas tax goes to the parishes through that fund by a formula based on population. I'm not sure what how much money y'all get, but y'all do get a little bit of money each year through that parish transportation fund. What this bill does is it adds a sub-fund within that. It's called the Oil and Gas Severance Tax Sub-Fund. And what it does is it puts 5% of the total avails of oil and gas severance tax into that sub-fund. And then it distributes it to the parishes that are limited by that constitutional cap from getting their full 20%. It distributes it to those parishes on a pro rata basis. And so the fiscal note on the bill is not completed yet, but we think that would generate about $5 million for DeSoto Parish, and less for each of the parishes as you go down every year moving forward. Of course, that would fluctuate based on the oil and gas activity. But the good news is we've had some meetings with leadership, and in the Senate side, we think we'll have a lot of co-authors. As I've mentioned before, that topic is unique because it's all the coastal parishes that benefit from it, and also the Haynesville Shale parishes. And so from a political perspective, you get a good group of folks that, you know, if they support something like that, it could come to fruition. So we feel positive about that. The bill's not been scheduled yet, but we're working on, Senator Presley's working on getting co-authors for that and getting it scheduled. And I spoke to Representative Bagley this morning and made him aware of where things were with that. And so when that bill gets over to the House, he'll be well prepared to carry it, you know, through that side of the process. So we feel positive about that. And you know, last time I was here, that bill hadn't even been filed. So any questions about that bill? Because that's really the primary goal, I guess, that I have for the jury for this session. Nope. Okay. HB 2 by Emerson, that is the capital outlay budget for the whole state. DeSoto Parish jury currently has no dollars in there at all. That's, you know, last year's bill has been carved way down and a lot of projects have been pulled out. There's a hearing this Friday that all the local governments have been invited to attend and testify about their capital outlay request. I'm going to be there on your behalf and testify on your behalf about your capital outlay submission and tell the story of the severance tax and why we have the multi-year, you know, parish-wide improvement program for consideration. I talked to the chairwoman Emerson Friday, and she assured me that, you know, I'm good enough and we don't have to have y'all come down for that. So don't worry about trying to make that trip. We do think that as that, you know, it's just in House committee, we'll have to see, you know, amendments will be put on in 2 different committees in the House and then 2 more times in the Senate. So that bill can change a lot between now and the end of the session. The other bill I wanted to just bring back up because it was a recurring topic of conversation is SB 108 by Seaball. That deals with the Pattern Energy pipeline or transmission line. That bill made it to the House. It's not been scheduled. I know there's opposition to the bill. I think, you know, there's plenty of lobbyists on each side of that issue. I've been asked to, you know, involve ourselves at different points, and I just want y'all to all know we've taken a neutral position, have no position on the matter, and unless y'all direct me to do otherwise, we will maintain a no position on that bill. And if y'all were going to direct me to do otherwise, this is probably your last chance. So without any action today, we will maintain our no position.
What's the atmosphere over that bill down in Baton Rouge?
I think that it'll have a harder path forward in the House than it had in the Senate, it seems. But to be frank, I haven't really followed it very closely because it's not a priority of the jury. Does that answer any questions about that?
Any more questions?
Okay, so, you know, I've got a list of about 75 bills here that we track for y'all, and I put a list in your report of the ones that I went over last time. A lot of the bills that I brought to your attention last time have either not moved at all or made very little progress so far. Again, nothing that uniquely affects DeSoto Parish, but just know we send, you know, reports out every week with all, you know, we track these bills on a regular basis. So rather than bore you with the full list, just know that we're monitoring it. If something comes up that's of concern, we talk to Michael and go from there. But our priority for y'all this year is trying to obtain more dollars. And so we'll keep working on that.
Thank you, Chance.
Thank you. And if there are no other questions, I appreciate it. And I'm going to head back to Baton Rouge.
Thanks. Be safe.
Thank you.
Mr. Norton,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
what is the recommendation of the police jury on this Seaball bill? Should we have a position?
Well, that's tough. Y'all took a position in 2017 passing a resolution in favor of the project. But I feel that we are being dragged into a fight in Baton Rouge to take a position for or against this bill. So I think I would go with Chance's initial gut feeling on this to be neutral. Because the jury has, I've been asked the question pointedly, what's the jury's position on this project? I said, well, as far as I'm concerned, y'all gave us direction in 2017 when y'all passed unanimously a resolution supporting the project. But does that translate to that current legislation that's out there? I don't think it does, but that's just my opinion.
Answer your question.
$1 billion is
If-
a lot of money.
If the bill did pass, it would be vetoed anyway, I'm sure, right? I'm
No
just
yes
asking.
from there.
Yeah,
The governor's not gonna sign it.
yeah, and I think there's also there's some scuttle out there about, even if it does pass, even if it does survive a veto, they could probably still do eminent domain through FERC. So I don't know, but that's just speculation at this point.
Well, the monies, but
Anything else? Okay. Treasurer financial report.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'll just briefly go through, before I start, just wanted to let you know the auditors were here doing preliminary paperwork last week. So we have pretty much done our accrual. The only other adjusting entries will be what we get from the auditors at the end of hopefully May. So these numbers that you see are pretty much, 99% the real deal going forward. On the general fund, we have received 4.7 million in revenues, while our expenses are at 2.4 million. Most of the divisions are where they should be at around 25% at this time for expenses. Total finance and governmental division is about 2% higher, and that is due to the state pension plan expense. Total for other general government, which is our maintenance department, is about 4% higher, and that is due to an increase of a premium in property and casualty insurance. Overall, the fund expenses are 5% lower than the budgeted amount. The road fund, we received 7.3 million in revenues. We do continue to see a slight decrease in sales tax revenue. Most of that decrease is in the gas and oil industry. Public works expenditures are down by 2% from the budgeted amount. Witness and jurors, revenues are down by projections by 3%. However, the expenses are down by 14%. The jail fund, we have received $336,702 collected in sales tax. Like I stated previously, that's a slight decrease by about 5% than the projected amounts for the quarter. Operational expenses are at 16.8%. We received one quote for the jail parking lot in the amount of $115,000, which came way lower than the budgeted amount of $250,000 that we had allocated for the project. Savings about $135,000. No activity in the correctional facility fund. Our solid waste fund, we have received 7.3 million in revenues. Our sales tax collections, as mentioned earlier, is about 5% less than expected. Tipping fees are right on target at 25%. The landfill operation expenses are about 26%, slightly higher than expected due to the state pension plan and property and casualty insurance premium. Our compactor sites operation expenses are at 22%. As Mr. Norton mentioned earlier, the bid for cell 10 construction came in at 4.6 million. That's not including the engineer cost and any unforeseen expenses we may have. We allocated 8.1 million for the project, so we're in decent shape moving forward with that, and we shall see some savings that can be reallocated to any other needs at the landfill. criminal court fund, we received $120,050 in revenues, and we are at $94,621 in expenses for a net change of $25,429. Our Office of Community Services revenues are at 26%, while expenses are at 22%. As you can see from the previous months, I have done the program salary adjustments. Those were made at the end of March. The airport revenues are at 25%. We received a reimbursement for the obstruction removal project this past month. Expenses are at 27%. In the capital outlay, you will see the obstruction expense that we paid out, and then we have received a vehicle that was ordered, and we have sent that the leased vehicle back to Enterprise, so we should be out of that lease, so we won't be seeing that expense for that line item. Rental assistance fund, revenues are at 34% and expenses are at 25%. Our e-sewer fund, $226.94 were spent on utilities. We just paid our last utility bill this past week. We've paid the final bill, and that has been turned over to the city of Mansfield. Demolition of the sewer system is complete. We just have not issued payment on that yet. The animal services fund, fee revenue is at 113%, is reflecting the contribution of the grant that we received. The operational expenses are at 24%, while the capital outlay is at 46%. That is one of the vehicles, one of the transit vans we have received. The leased vehicle that we have for that was picked up and turned back to Enterprise. We're still waiting on one truck that was ordered, and that will take care of the capital for animal services. On the sinking fund, our current interest is $12,654.36 as of the end of March, and no other activity. I meant to put March in there, not January, but that's all I have for y'all. If y'all have any questions.
Is there any questions for Ms. Lilly? Thank you, Ms. Lilly. Accept the,
I make a motion to accept the financial statement.
okay.
I'll second.
Got a motion by Mr. Baker to accept the financial statement, seconded by Mr. Holmes. Any discussion? Please vote. Motion passes. Approval of minutes. Approved March 18th, 2024, regular meeting. April 1st, 2024, administrative. Budget and Finance, Road, Solid Waste, Community Service, Person and Insurance Committee meeting.
So move with all necessary correction.
Got a motion by Mr. Fuller. Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Second by Mrs. Burrell. Any discussions on the approval of minutes? There's no discussion. Please vote. Motion passes. Old business, award low bid for hog eradications. I would like to recommend us to reject that bid because the USDA is stepping in and helping us on this project and gonna do it for free. So
I second that motion.
Ross made the motion to reject this bid. Mr. Fuller seconded. Discussion? There's no discussion. Please vote.
Eat free.
Got one remaining. Motion passes. Item 6, award low bid for the 2024 03-14 FDA E project for Monday Landfill Cell 10.
So move.
Got a motion by Mr. Baker, Second by Mr. Parker. Discussion?
What's that?
This is what they were saying, that we got the bid in for the building cell 10.
Okay.
Right. There's no more discussion, please vote. Motion passes. New business. Executive session in compliance with LA Revised Statute 42-17 to strategize session to negotiate the respect to collective bargaining perspective, litigation after formal written demand, or litigation when open meeting would have a detrimental effect on the bargaining or litigation position in the public body. The notice of executive session, the DeSoto Parish Police Jury is providing notice pursuant to Louisiana Revised Statute 42-17 that it will be convened for an executive session as authorized by the Louisiana Revised Statute 42-17 A2, and that is intended to enter into the session for the purpose of discussion the lawsuit filed by David B. Means et al. Against the DeSoto Parish Jury in the United States District Court Western District of Louisiana, Shreveport Division, Civil Action Number 5-23-CV00669. The discussion in this executive session will be limited to the matters except from open meeting requires set forth Louisiana law. No final or binding action will be taken during this executive session. Do I have a motion to go in executive session?
So moved.
Got a motion by Ms. Burrell to go in executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Mr. Trina Boyd Simpson to go in executive session. And we are going executive session for a moment.
sometimes it's good and sometimes it's just exhausting, Miss Trina. I know.
He brought that smell. I was like, go tell him he's home, because he's
I don't think they had. I don't know if I told you, but I'm gonna be on Friday. Yes. I have to do the list of what's there. That is from like 10 to 1, so after that I'll be home. Don't need anything.
Cooking, man.
Trying to get back to high school thing.
Good looking down.
What are you doing?
I was gonna get one of those salts. No.
Look at that.
No.
There's 4 in there. I'm not eating 4.
Ain't about 10 already. Oh, let's see where we at. Okay. Everybody here. It's forward.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we move back into regular session.
Yes, sir. I have a motion to reconvene from executive session. Do I have a second?
Second.
Oops. Mr. Clark and Ms. Burrell, second. We back. Okay, item number 9. Oh, we're gonna vote. Yes. Please vote.
What are we voting on?
To reconvene. Motion passes. Item 9, authorize the president to sign agreement with sub-agreement for the state project number REU 18-16-25, public transportation operation assistance program for the non-urbanizing area of DeSoto Parish, Louisiana.
So move.
Got a motion by Mr. Jones.
Second.
Got a second by Mr. Trina Boyd Simpson.
For discussion?
For discussion.
What is this?
Yeah, what is it?
Are we,
This is for, correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, for our transportation fund.
This is our council
council
meeting.
on-
Council on Aging
okay,
funding.
right.
This is something y'all do each year, just to ensure that the funding goes to Council on Aging. through
okay, I
DOT.
just wanna know how I'm voting.
Just wanted to make sure.
Any more discussion?
No, sir.
If not, please vote. Motion passes. Item 10, authorize all staff to close all operation during holidays for the jury. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Got a motion by Mr. Holmes. Have a second?
Second. Oh, you second.
Second by Mrs. Trina Simpson. Discussion?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
So we will save like $120,000, correct me if I'm wrong, on salaries for closing down these compactor sites on the holidays
And Monday landfill.
and Monday landfill.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, obviously, I don't want people working on Christmas or Thanksgiving. But if we keep the main 3 compactor sites open during some of these holidays, we'll still save $100,000. I would like to see Stonewall, South Mansfield, and Logan Sports compactor sites stay open. We'll still be saving $100,000 on these salaries, if it's possible. So I'd like to amend that, but amend this,
So you make an alternate motion?
make an alternate motion, yes.
Could I ask you to add something to that alternate
Sure.
motion? And this is just because of discussions with Barbie and in relation to our road crews. If you would amend the alternate motion to include language that would give exceptions to the emergency road crew callouts and animal control callouts, because a reality is there will be dogs that need to be picked up on Christmas Day, and our people will work those, as well as there might be emergencies that require our road crews to go out, and work on those days. Those are the two exceptions that I would ask as your administrator to make in your alternate motion.
And I would, do you have specific holidays that you would want to designate as the holidays that you're talking about for those sites to remain open? We have a list of the holidays in the handbook.
We do, but it's any declared holiday that the jury currently has on the books, which
I
would be.
understand, but I don't think his motion says that he wants them all. He said he
Yeah, I
wanted
don't want
some
them to
of
work like, yeah, we don't want people to work on Christmas or New Year or Thanksgiving, the
If you
main
were-
holidays, yeah.
Well, then that would be the secondary holidays. That's what you're.
There you go.
No, who is we? We don't want them to work on these.
Well,
holidays.
I don't, I wouldn't,
Okay,
I
because-
wouldn't expect them to work on
Because
Christmas.
actually, I don't see where the people in Stonewall are any better than the people anywhere else. They can hold their trash one day and take it to the dump the very next day, just like everybody else is gonna be doing. A savings of 120,000, savings of 100. You know, I think it needs to be closed, everything closed. Let all employees off, and that way, not only that, but it lets the public know that the police jury has let these, has voted in all these holidays. It lets the public know just how many holidays we're giving these employees. So it makes them aware also of what's going on down here. But no citizen in here is any better than any of the rest. Stonewall people can hold their trash one day, just like Keachai or anybody else would. You know, in emergencies, as far as animal control or road crews, we know they're gonna have to be called out if it's an emergency. If it's something that cannot wait.
Do we have the holiday?
But if it's anything that can wait, nobody should be working holidays over anybody else. Why is the road crew any different than the people in the office? You don't think they want off their holidays? You don't think these people working Monday landfill want off on their holidays? All of them. Shut down.
Mr. Fuller?
Yeah, I had, just a comment, 'cause one reason we did it, Mr. Baker, am I correct, when Stonewall, that was on Christmas, the holidays, there was so much trash up there afterwards, that's why they, asked for them to be open on holidays, is that correct?
Yes.
So, like the day after the holiday, it gets too much trash that will be out there, and that will be, an issue, so.
Stonewall compactor site filled up within a few hours on holidays.
So, that was one of the reasons that they brought it up about doing it where it will,
Yeah, but,
time would be like.
it ain't like we paying them people on them compact site top dollar. Cause some South Mansfield just called me here last week, and I got with, what his name over the landfill? And they were saying that they get tired they have to work every Saturday, every holiday. And Mr. Brett, we wanna spend some time with our family sometime too. We wanna be like everybody else, they get to spend time with their family. We can't even take a, family trip, for a weekend because we got to work. And I understand that. I got to agree with Mr. Holmes on that.
I thought a lot of them
don't-
wanted to work, that was my concern.
How many compactor sites do we have?
18.
18.
Okay, so we have 18. I'm asking to keep 3 open. I think we can find 3 people to work 2.5 times their pay on a holiday just to keep 3 compactor sites open. So when we have holidays, the people that aren't working can do spring cleaning, do whatever they got to do on that holiday when they're not working, and go to the compactor site and take care of their trash while they're off work.
But,
I don't think it's
still,
unreasonable.
That, treating everybody in the parish the same is reasonable. Giving somebody special treatment is not reasonable.
It's not giving.
That's what's not reasonable.
It's not giving special treatment.
Yes, it
We keep
is. You
we
tell me
keep-
what that's not special treatment. People in Stonewall get special treatment? They
Stonewall.
get theirs open and no one else does?
Stonewall.
No, shut
I
them
just
all
said
down.
3 compactor sites. So Stonewall, South Mansfield, and Logansport, the 3 main compactor sites that produce over 30% of the trash in the parish. Just those 3 compactor sites. It's the main sites. If somebody in Pelican wants to work in Stonewall, they can work it. They get
Giving
paid
them the
travel.
option.
They get paid mileage. They get paid 2.5 times their
We're
salary.
not talking about the workers, we're talking about the people also. You know, you want to give the citizens of Stonewall
Well, you can,
special
we can
treatment.
look
That's
at it, we can look at it an opposite way and say, we're not giving the people the ability to take care of their trash on a holiday when they're off work. So you can look at it either way.
Mr. Fuller, man.
Don't we have some floaters?
It's not like they're gonna be closed a week. It's not like they're gonna be
That's
closed
right.
a few days.
Mr. Fuller?
Don't we have some
Talking about
floaters?
1 or 2 days, man.
Yeah.
Two or
I mean,
three.
like I said, 'cause I know some people that would love to work on holidays, you know,
the time and a half.
and I don't have a problem with that. Like I said, you know, some people want to be at home with their family. I don't have a problem with that. But if a person wants to work, you know,
Why do
that'll
we-
work.
My experience with that, most of the time, people tell you they want to work up until that point. Oh, I got to go do this. So and so happened. This happened. You know. So we got. Go ahead.
Mr. Administrator, do you think you'd have a problem finding people to work on those holidays? Or would people want to work and get 2.5 times their salary?
We're currently having some issues finding some compactor site operators and keeping them.
Exactly.
We really are. But, I mean,
If we had the other 15 closed, could you find
we
3
could
people to
probably
work?
find some floaters, and, you know, unfortunately Kevin's not here. He could tell you how many floaters we have. I think we only have like a half a dozen floaters. There's not that many of them.
Can anybody be a compactor site worker, employee?
Yes, sir.
Well, I say let's keep the one at Stonewall open and let Mr. Latham work it. The one in Logansport open, Mr. Clark work it, and let them work for their constituents up there and take care of it.
I amend my former
I
statement,
think
not
that's simple.
anybody.
And we'll pay you time and a half to do it.
He's trying to get you to go to jail, not paying
So
your
you
police money.
you didn't have a second.
2.5 times my salary, I may think about it.
No, compactor site rate.
So sir.
I believe the lady back there, our animal shelter.
Okay, Miss.
Can I say something real quick?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, I mean, the animals at the animal shelter have to be fed and watered daily by state regulatory. So my staff on weekends, which is skeleton crew every weekend, is the same on our holidays. So I have to have, that is a regulatory of having an animal shelter. Animals cannot go.
Right.
That is
Yeah.
called animal cruelty when I go out to my constituents and they don't have water and they don't have food every day. So my staff has to be on site at least for that short time. I get volunteers to come in and try to help so that their hours are very minimal, and we rotate our holiday, who works each holiday each time. So I have to be under a different exception with the animals, because they're live animals.
Yeah, true.
That would be a state issue, big time.
Animal cruelty.
So you didn't have a second on your alternate, so we'll go back to the original motion.
Did I have time to get a second? I don't think I had time to get a second.
Oh.
Yes, you did. You had plenty of time.
Yeah, you
now.
got time.
Come on.
Mr. Holmes, do you want me to add, with the exception of the animals?
Animal shelter, yes.
So this goes back to the original motion.
So the original motion, with the exception of the animal shelter.
Unless you want to second mine.
How your people feel about their holidays?
Yeah, you was in the motion. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we need
Well,
to-
your motion says all operations. That's why I asked y'all to include the language for the road department as well, the emergency
We
call-outs
did.
for the road
We
department.
said accept an
But
emergency.
you can change, okay,
I won't change it right now, but I'll change it on my end with the exception of
Okay.
the animal shelter and road department.
all right.
Yes,
Y'all know road department in there too?
yes.
Emergency call-outs
Emergency call out
for the road department.
Okay. All right. If y'all
Thank
go
you.
ahead and vote, I'll get that done on my end.
So no emergency call out for the trash.
Nah, you
No.
can hold your trash, man.
Told them yesterday tired of working every
3
day.
remaining.
Holiday.
2 more.
What we got?
And Miss Trina.
I know. It's me.
Well, see, the man, if we have to wait till our trash.
Motion passes. Okay, resolution. Recommend authorizing the president to sign a resolution approving the payment of lieu of tax agreement in accordance with the term sheet requesting the Northwest Louisiana Financing Authority enter into a said payment in lieu of tax agreement and provide for other matters with respect thereto. Do I have a motion?
Motion.
I have a motion from Mrs. Simpson.
Need a second. Discussion.
Do I have a second?
Motion
Need
for
a second.
I better second that. I'll second it.
Sir, Mr. Baker, second. Discussion?
Yes, sir. Explain this to me.
Lord, I got it.
'Cause I-
Who is this?
Is this what I think it is? I ain't,
This is for the Desiree project out at the Dolly Hills area. This is for the Desiree Solar Farm project out at the Dolly Hills area.
Right.
oh, okay, yeah, okay, well, see,
is for
that's what
the-
I wanna know. Okay.
Yeah, this the mailbox money.
Or
Desiree.
Let's see, have some explanation on that mailbox money you're talking about, that 800,000. I've
Split in three
understood.
ways.
It's gonna be split how many ways?
That's up to the other side.
That's up to the parish. That's up to the police jury to determine how they're gonna split that $800,000.
so we get to decide.
I understand also on this pilot program that the sheriff could agree to it, the DeSoto Parish School Board could agree to it, and if we disagree and decide not to give them an exemption for our part, then they can go forward with their exemption from the police jury and the school board, is that correct?
From the sheriff, and
I mean, the sheriff and the school board?
They're shaking their head.
they have to have all three on board.
That was the original, everybody had to be on board for the original ITEP program, but with this pilot program, from what I understood, it doesn't have to be, everybody has to be in agreement, is that correct?
No, that's correct. So basically what would happen is, what we typically request before any company comes to us or any parish is that they go and work with all the local taxing entities, and get support. And so then the only entity that actually has to take an official vote is the parish. But we ask them, that they work with all the taxing authorities to make sure that there is support for it. Because again, it's one of those things that we do just to facilitate. And so we really don't have a dog in the hunt, quite honestly.
So what I'm asking is, if we decided we didn't want to participate, then the sheriff and the school board could not participate either?
Correct.
Okay. And the $800,000 going to be split between the three taxing authorities?
We, basically, we don't have any control over that. So all that we are agreeing to is that you're gonna get it, but in terms of what that agreement looks like and how y'all divvy that up,
We kind of determined that, the parish, I think.
We need all 800,000.
Oh, please.
They got plenty of taxes, sure.
The sheriff and the school board?
If there's no more discussion, please vote.
We the one getting the break.
I know, just give me just one moment.
Mailbox money.
Sometimes all mailbox money ain't good money.
Motion passes. Item number 12. Recommend authorize the president to sign a resolution convening support of the economic incentive package, including the annual payment in lieu of tax agreement and the performance-based grant for Project Seamless.
So move.
Got a motion by Mr. Fuller. Did I hear you second, Ms. Trina?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion?
Yes, sir. What's that?
This is the Hensley Building project that.
Okay,
that-
that's all I need.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just be wanting to make sure before I vote.
remaining?
That ain't me.
Did you, Ms. Trina?
I said, that's not me.
Motion passes. Administrative item.
All right, administrative items, recommends appointing James Robinson to the Bayou Pier Fish and Game Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Oh, Ross made the
Raines.
motion. Mr.
Raines?
Raines, second.
That's Mr. Raines now, remember that.
Thank you, Mr. Jones.
Can't get his name right.
Discussion? If there's no discussion, please vote. Mr. James is here as well. Would you please stand up and introduce yourself, if you don't mind?
Thank y'all. Thank y'all for the appointment. I appreciate it. I brought my brother with me. Younger brother Chris and my little brother Bobby.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a family thing, huh?
Thank you.
That's all right.
Yeah, we need all the input. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are they allowed to catch fish being on the committee?
No. Motion passes.
Thank y'all.
On item number 14, recommends selling the property located at the sheriff's training facility at 120 Sprocket Lane to the sheriff at market value, and all proceeds to be dedicated to the jail fund.
So move.
Make a second.
Ross made the motion. Mr. Clark seconded. Okay, discussion?
Yes, sir. I just want to say, we need to be careful with this market value thing, cause, I've gotten quite a few phone calls from the last meeting agreeing with what I'm saying. We can have market value for one somebody and some totally different for another. Market value mean market value. I don't care who it is. And we need to be careful with that, cause if I was Enterprise, I'd come back and want me a nice little lawsuit for market value being $10,000 per acre more. Then, cause it don't make sense. You know, I even got a couple calls from a couple of attorneys concerning what you saying is exactly true, Miss Maria. We can't do market value for one somebody, cause you really, honestly, we really giving away the taxpayers' property for a little nothing. And I hope this is truly for a training facility and not a layup in luxury at a sheriff's office. I'm just telling y'all the truth, cause I'm really gonna feel bad then.
Yes, it's training facility.
I'd like to make an alternate motion.
Yes, sir.
The sheriff was wanting another piece of property adjacent to this, and I'd like to make the motion, we go ahead and sell both pieces of property to him at one time while we're at it.
Okay, we got alternate motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
How much property we talking about now?
That same, the other 10,
See, there are
the other 10
10 more
acres
acres. See what I'm
adjacent
talking
to it.
about?
So how many acres is it over?
That's the one for the jail.
It's the 10
Yeah,
acres
for
that
the
he's got now
jail.
plus the
Ain't
10.
nobody crazy.
No, I don't,
For the jail.
no,
Do they already have that phrase?
Not for
that should
the
come
jail,
in
for
writing.
the
We
sheriff's
hadn't,
office.
that should come in
Need
writing.
to go through committee.
Yeah, then that should go back to the committee
Yep.
to discuss
okay.
additional property
So there's 10, will
to
that
give
be
them sale.
1,000?
That should go back to the committee.
So there really should be a second on the alternate motion before you.
I did
He
say.
did
Oh, I'm
second
sorry, I
it.
didn't hear
We
you.
got a second.
So now discussion. I'm sorry, Mr. Jones, I didn't hear.
No,
Yeah,
I
that would be
made
my
a point.
recommendation, to send
I
it
made
back
a
to the
point. That's-
committee. Not saying that,
Come up in a meeting and
do it the right way.
with one proposal and then you sprung up on another one. No, that need to go back to the committee.
And that ain't good business. That really not good business, y'all. And don't y'all never think your constituents not looking at you.
Property that you were talking about?
Big pardon.
What property are you discussing?
The other piece of property adjacent to it there, I think we'd have to get the address.
Enough for me to get.
Jody,
lot number
you
or
can
whatever.
list them as lots 1 and 2 as listed for sale out there.
Yeah, I didn't think that was proper to bring it through the committee.
Mm-mm. They do what they wanna do, how they wanna do.
Come on now.
Okay. All right, well,
And it's gonna catch up with them sooner or
Yeah, I
later.
would recommend you do it at fair market value as
Yes, so that means they're gonna offer us some more.
Well, I'll withdraw the motion, and let it go back to the committee then.
Yeah.
Let all of it go back to the committee, the whole thing?
No, just that one piece, that additional.
So will they have to get another appraisal for that?
It's
addition?
adjacent, so it should be the same.
It's gonna be
It's
pretty
gonna be
much
the
the
same.
same, but yes, they'll have to get an
We
appraisal.
still, the state law requires we still get another.
Cause
Yeah, I was
I
gonna say, you
personally,
still
I
have to
feel
get
like we
another
should be
appraisal.
getting it appraised from somebody else. Cause just like I said, it don't take no rocket science to figure it out. Ain't no way market value being 2010 with $20,000, now it's $10,000 acre. Make it make sense.
Okay, we back to the
It
original
don't.
motion.
It's 50,000.
Finish, you got some more discussion?
Are you sure that the market value of property is?
I gave y'all the paperwork. Market value in 2010 was $20,000 an acre. Now, all of a sudden, apparently the property done dropped in value. And that ain't so. Property done skyrocketed. Just like I say,
Depend on
make
the
it make
location too,
sense.
though.
It don't make sense. But now you gonna tell me it's $10,000 fair market value? Come on, y'all.
Okay, we
Quit
got-
robbing these taxpayers. That's the part that disturbs me. That's robbing our taxpayers. And they looking at you. Y'all gonna wish y'all had did the right thing. Cause they gonna start flunking these taxes, and I don't blame them.
If there's no more discussion, please vote on the original motion.
Preferably, I'd like to see all of it go back then and look at the fair market value. Look at that again. But basically, she's right. If we
I mean, we don't have any control over the appraisal.
Yes,
Well-
we can do, we ain't got to accept that appraisal.
I mean,
Cause
mean, if
all
somebody-
this was done without our permission in the first
what
place.
if that appraisal lower?
Come on,
It's a
bro.
possibility. Yeah, I know what you're saying, but it's a
Come on.
possibility.
No, it ain't. It ain't no possibility. I done asked too many people living. They know that's my district, so I'm asking questions. And from what I'm understanding, property in Grand Canyon right now about 40,000 acres.
Whoa.
Yes, right. It's right behind Stonewall High, as y'all tell me.
Sure ain't 10.
It ain't 10, sure ain't, and y'all, yeah, okay. Y'all know what I'm telling you the truth.
Motion passes on the original motion. Budget and finance.
Budget and Finance recommends authorizing the president to sign a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Battle of Pleasant Hill Incorporated and amend the budget in the amount of $4,000.
So move.
second.
Ross made the motion. Mr. Jones seconded. Discussion.
Again, is it in DeSoto Parish?
Yes, sir. Is it in DeSoto Parish?
For certain,
Sir?
for certain.
Yes, sir. It is.
Better can say it ain't.
Uh-huh.
Them folk from Better can say it ain't. They talking still about it, Rodrigo.
Well,
That's your district,
yeah, it is,
that's how
but
you
hey,
wanna ride,
tell them,
that's
look
fine.
at the map. It's in DeSoto Parish. It's in DeSoto Parish all day.
I know all my life.
One remaining. Oh,
Who is it?
say one remaining.
Oh, I done hit that button.
Mr. Rain, you sleep over there?
No, I didn't hit it.
The motion passes. Community service and development.
Yeah.
That's you.
Recommend authorizing the jury to accept the vehicle donation from Caddo Parish Office of Community Service to DeSoto Office of Community Service.
So move.
Second.
A motion made by Ms. Burrell, second by Mrs. Simpson. Discussion.
No, because it's free.
There's no discussion. Please vote. Motion passes. Road item.
Road item, Mr. President, Road Department recommends approving the 5-year parish transportation road projects and approval of parish transportation road funds for listed projects.
So move.
Ms. Burrell made the motion.
Second.
Second by Mr. Jones. Discussion. There's no discussion, please vote. Motion passes.
Okay, item 18, recommends approving asphalt overlay at Stonewall Frison Road from I-49 to Wallace Lake Road and amend the budget into amount of $372,000.
Post.
So move.
Mr. Raines made the motion. Oh, Mr. Fuller made the motion, you seconded?
Rains and Fuller.
We both made the motion.
Oh. Do I have a second then?
Second, I'll second.
Mr. Fuller, second.
Oh,
Okay, well, he said he made the motion. All right. You got that, Ms. Jody?
Yeah, I'm putting Mr. Fuller a second.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any discussion? There's no discussion, please vote. Motion passes. Personnel item.
Here we got one more.
No, I'm sorry,
One more.
I'm sorry.
Right. The last item recommends authorizing the president to sign a corporate endeavor agreement with the town of Stonewall to replace culverts on Baker Road, Mary Street, and Brian David Road.
So move.
Got a motion by Mr. Baker. I have a second by Ms. Trina Boyd Simpson. Discussion.
How many culverts we talking about? A bunch?
I think it was
About 6, I think is what they said the other night.
It's 3 locations.
Yeah,
it was a total of about 6.
right. Okay, please vote.
They're paying for it. Say they're paying for it.
Oh, I'm the first use, sorry.
Motion passes. Personnel items.
Personnel, recommend approving the ditch crew for road department and amend the budget.
So move.
Got a motion made by Mr. Fuller, second by Mr. Clark. Discussion.
Yes.
Ma'am.
Do we know approximately when, how soon?
As soon as we can,
It'll be
as
up
soon
and
as y'all
running.
approve it, we are authorized to advertise for the positions and get them hired.
And since
No,
we
as
on-
A-
Mr. Wood,
ASAP.
I said, and since we on the, y'all did a good job on, I good out. It looks nice. Indeed.
Ms. Simpson?
I made the motion,
You
Ms.
do.
Fuller second.
It look nice. They did a good job.
Didn't I say that
Indeed.
already? Oh. Okay, please vote. You lost me there, Mr. Fuller.
I can't figure that out myself.
Have you voted?
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Motion passes.
No basketball game on tonight.
Yeah. Solid waste, please.
Solid Waste Committee recommends authorizing the president to sign a cooperative endeavor agreement with Shreveport Green for the 2024 litter campaign.
So move.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Jones, seconded by Mrs. Burrell. Discussion. There's no discussion, please vote. Motion passes. Motion to adjourn. Got a motion by everybody to adjourn. We adjourn. Thank y'all for coming out.